What is up, Nuggets? It's your boy, Killer Pizza, here with a brand new video for all you rascals and rapscallions out there. Now today, I'm going to do something I was putting off for the longest time, and that is reviewing my very favorite movie in horror, maybe overall, any genre, and that is 1984's Return of the Living Dead, directed by Dan O'Bannon. Now, the reason I put this off for so long is because I just felt like I couldn't do it justice. I felt like I would ramble on for 30, 40 minutes, which I may very well do. I'm going to try to keep this somewhat short. But, I was kind of thinking about other content I could put out around Halloween, and sure, there's plenty of good Halloween movies to review, obviously, like Halloween itself or Night of the Demons, Trick or Treat, plenty of movies that are more like based around fall and Halloween. And this movie actually takes place the weekend of the 4th of July. I think July 3rd was the day this supposedly all went down. But I thought, if I'm going to review movies around Halloween, I'm going to do my favorites. And this is my all-time very favorite movie. It's hard to explain why this draws me in so much. I mean, I've probably seen this movie more than any other movie in my entire life. I absolutely love it. I think sometimes the timing is everything. When I first seen this really hit me. I think lots of reasons. The scenery around like the warehouse, the plant, and all that. The characters, the young punk kids, the soundtrack. It has this gritty but fun kind of filming style. Lots of cool visuals. It's very violent, very vulgar. Awesome punk rock soundtrack. I love it. So anyways, if I'm going to get right into the movie, we're going to meet our first two characters. That is Freddy and Frank. Now, Freddy is the young guy, young punk rock kid, and he just got a job at this medical supply warehouse with Frank, who's the foreman there. So he's kind of showing him around, showing him some stuff, showing him that they have, human skeletons in the plant, split dogs, and like a human body, like a cadaver in like this cooler, like lots of really gnarly shit. And Freddy's really like, I can't speak right now. Drawn away by this, like he's blown away by it. He thinks this is all pretty gnarly, which it is. So Frank and him are in the office eating lunch, and he starts kind of like showing off to Freddy, and he's bragging to him about like the movie Night of the Living Dead, how it was real. Which I must mention to the George Romero and is it Dan O'Bannon? I don't know off the top of my head. George Romero and another guy who worked on it had to split the licensing deals for the Living Dead part. That's why George Romero's sequels, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, they're not Dawn of the Living Dead, Day of the Living Dead. Anyways, yeah, so Return of the Living Dead, they got the Living Dead moniker. Anyways, I digress. So Frank starts telling Freddy about this story about how Night of the Living Dead was based off a true story, but the director, George Romero, couldn't tell the whole truth, because then he would get sued and everything, and the government would come down on him. So he just flipped everything around, the part of the story. But it's true. And what they did with these bodies, they rounded them all up and put them in like these big tubs and tubes, and took them wherever they were going. But when the government was shipping them, they fucked up and sent a couple of the tubes to this warehouse. And Frank tells him he's got them downstairs. So they go downstairs, and he starts trying to show off this tank to Freddy. And it's got the body and everything. And classic line, one of my favorite parts is Freddy's like, well, these canisters aren't going to break or anything. And Frank says, oh, no, these are made by the U.S. government. They're strong as hell. He slaps it to kind of show. But then all the smoke, all the yellow smoke, bursts out of the tubes. It's like poison smoke in the air. And it just totally hits Freddy and Frank, and they drop to the ground. Cue opening credits. Awesome opening credit song. It gets the atmosphere going just right. So once the movie starts going, we meet all of Freddy's friends, including his girlfriend Tina, and it's a bunch of punk rock kids, and they're kind of just hanging around, bullshitting, waiting for Freddy to get out so they can, go to the next party or whatever. So in their time trying to kill a little time, they see a cemetery that's near Freddy's work, right by it. So they decide to go in the cemetery and fuck around and just do some punk rock kid shit, and they go into the cemetery, start dicking around out there. So we cut back to Frank and Freddy. They're in the warehouse, and they're totally poisoned. They come upstairs just sweating, pale, the ghost coughing. They look like shit. And they're saying, what's in these chemicals? What the fuck was that? All this. And then they start funny scene when they realized that the gas brought, because what the gas did from the tubes, it's bringing all the dead back to life, and there's lots of like dead things in the warehouse, and they first find like a split dog, and it's alive. In a funny scene, Frank, and I don't condone animal violence in any way, shape, or form. If anything, this was a zombie dog. But Frank just grabs like a crutch just sitting there. He's like, I'm going to kill it. And he starts bashing it up real good. And Freddy has to stop him. I don't know. It's just, you'd have to see it because the chemistry between Freddy and Frank is absolutely hilarious. They're like, it's like the Three Stooges almost. It's so funny. And Freddy has to stop him. And that's when you get this cool, like, triple cut to like that cooler door. Boom, boom, boom. And they hear the corpse that was in there screaming. And they're like, fuck. Like, so they call Bert, who is this gentleman here. He is the owner of the warehouse. Another amazing character. This guy's hilarious. He's like, you did what? You opened the canister, you stupid son of a bitch. He's like, they're going to find this out. I could lose my business. I could go to jail or whatever. So they have to figure out a way around all this. So pretty much he grabs, one of them he tells Freddy to grab a bat, has Frank open up the door, and he's like, all right, when he comes running out, hit the corpse. And the corpse runs right at Bert, tackles him through all this shit. And he's like, get this son of a bitch off me. Just like I said, you guys know me. I love zombies. I love the mix of comedy in my horror movies because there would be, I mean, there's a time to be serious and there's a time to be funny. And like that would be what would happen. This zombie jumps on you. You're either screaming, scared as fuck, but at the same time, like, get this fucking thing off me. Don't just stand there. So they grab this corpse, pin him down, and then Bert says, you know, what did you say they did in Night of the Living Dead to kill him, destroy their brain? All right, so he grabs this pickaxe and just boom, right through this corpse's head, and it just starts screaming. It doesn't die. So here's a little thing I'll tell you about these zombies. You can't kill them at all, so you're going to wonder how this is going to end up. Probably not too good for our characters. So it doesn't kill them, so they decide to cut its head off with a hacksaw. This is one of the gross out moments of the movie. It's pretty gnarly. And then the body jumps up and it keeps running around. And they're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? They're like, grab the bone saw. We're going to cut it up into a bunch of pieces. They start cutting it up into a bunch of pieces. We flash back to the punk rock kids in the cemetery, getting a little more character development. All these characters are likable. And then you have the character Trash, Linnea Quigley, who's like a scream queen. She was in, Night of the Demons, Silent Night, Deadly Night. What else was she in off the top of my head? Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers by Tobe Hooper. But she has this very iconic scene, which I very, very well I remember as a kid, where she strips completely full frontal nude and starts dancing on the grave tombstones to like some punk rock music. And it was awesome. Still is to this day. I know when I showed my friends this movie, they loved it. Side note, it took me years to get my best friend Nick Baker to watch this. And it took a while for me to get one of my other best friends, Bam Grizzly, Backwoods Bam. You guys know both those guys, to watch this movie. They both loved it. They thought they were going to hate it. They loved the movie. Funny that I mentioned that after the Linnea Quigley scene. But anyways, we meet our next character, Ernie, who runs the mortuary, and he's an old friend of Bert. And the mortuary is like right near the warehouse. So they take the garbage bag with the body parts in there to his funeral home and ask him for a favor. Can you throw these in your burner, or whatever you call it, where you burn the bodies, where you cremate bodies? And their excuse is it's rabid weasels. And Ernie's like, that's fucking cruel. You can't just burn them alive, kill an animal alive. So they end up having to like show him what's in the bag, and a severed arm comes out and jumps on his leg, rips his pant leg and everything. And Ernie, who does a really good job as well acting in this movie, he's like, what the fuck? He's like, all right, man, I'll burn these body parts up, but you owe me one. So they throw the bodies in there, and this whole time, Freddy and Frank are getting really sick, sweating and really pale. It's getting worse and worse. It progresses as the movie goes on. So they throw these body parts in the oven, in whatever the fuck you call it, the cremator or whatever. Make sure they burn all the bones, burn the heart, which is the hardest part to burn because it's all muscle, they explain in the movie. So it's educational as well. So you can show this movie to your children. So they burn all the body parts, but they don't realize that's half the problem, because now all this smoke goes up into the sky, and more good music. The soundtrack hits. It's the original song from the intro. All the smoke goes up. It causes like a big cloud to drop all this acid rain. So all this acid rain jumps down, and all the kids at the cemetery. They all jump back into Suicide is one of the characters. He's like the leader of the punks. They jump into his beat up car and they're getting rained on as these zombies are coming out from the grave. And at the same time, I should mention a little before this all happened, Tina was getting impatient for Freddy to get off because apparently he should have been off already, but it didn't happen because of obviously what happened with the dead bodies and all that shit. So she goes into the warehouse and she hears some shit, so she goes into the basement, and that's where we get introduced to one of the most classic, notorious characters, probably in all of horror, right here, front and center, Tarman. Now, this was the zombie that was in the barrel, and he comes out, and this guy gets a lot of praise, justifiably so. This really thin worker that had the whole bodysuit on, so he like moved like a corpse, and the way he moved was like his bones weren't connected and everything, and just really, really cool job. And she hides in this like closet. And I must say, these zombies are a lot smarter too, because he grabs like a chain and wraps it up in the door and starts cranking it through whatever to like pull the hinges off. And he's just about to pull the doors off when all the punk rockers go to Freddy's work. You need a medical supply. And they hear Tina screaming in the basement. They run down there just to see the doors rip open. And Suicide's like, what the fuck? And looks right over, and Tarman's right there, and he just takes this big chunk out of his head. And he's dead. Blood everywhere. Pretty gnarly. Not the best gore, really, but this movie has some decent gore. I mean, but that's not really what's important in the long run with how good this is. But they grab Tina and another character, Spider. He was the guy who ate too many enchiladas in the Friday the 13th franchise, but he grabs his paint can, throws it at Tarman. He looks up at them, and this is where you find out that these zombies can talk. And it's also the first time in cinema in a zombie movie where they made it clear that zombies eat brains. Because Tarman looks at them and says, more brains? They take off, run upstairs, lock the door. And then we cut back to Freddy and Frank, Ernie and Bert and everything. They called an ambulance to come check on these two guys who are dying. And they have a scene where they're going back and forth checking. I'm like, wait, maybe my stethoscope is fucked up. Like, switch, and like, you have no heartbeat. Like, are you saying you're dead? Are you saying we're dead, they say? Like, no, we're not saying you're dead. Dead people don't walk around and talk. So they go outside to call for more backup to, like, figure this shit out. A sea of zombies just attack them. And this is, which I should have mentioned earlier when the zombies rose out of the grave when they were running away, the punks. And this part backs it up that these are running zombies, which you guys know I'm not a big fan of running zombies. I like the old school walking zombies because they're pretty much indestructible when they run. But, you know, rules are meant to be broken, and I love this movie for that. I think, like, they do a good job of, like, their ideas, like, if the rigor mortis is stronger, you know, you might be slower, more decayed you are, but you know, these zombies are fresh out of the grave and everything, or whatever, however they want to explain it. It works. You'd have to see it. So, yeah, once they make a run for it again, all the punk rockers end up at the mortuary, except for, I forgot their two names, the one guy and girl, the really bitchy girl, but whatever. The rest of them end up at the mortuary, and this is where Tina meets up with Freddy, and she's freaking out. What the fuck did you guys do to them? And everything. And they're slowly dying. And I'm trying to think where this goes from here. We're like, yeah, there's a funny scene where Ernie walks outside to see what's going on with the ambulance, and a midget zombie chases after him. It's pretty funny. And he realizes what's going on. He's like, fuck this. He's like, we got to board this place up. Another moment with a great soundtrack. Some punk rock music hits into a nice little montage of them barricading the place up. And then, what's his name? Scuzz or something? The guy with the mohawk? He used to be my favorite. Then I found out he had accusations of being like a pedo or something, so I don't really care for the guy too much anymore, but that's besides the point. He's boarding up the window at one point, and this half-bodied zombie comes in and bites his head out, spraying blood everywhere. They hack up the zombie. I mean, it might have been a full zombie, but they cut it in half or whatever. Grab the zombie, strap it up to this table, and they're asking why the fuck the zombie's doing this. And once again, the zombie explains brains. Brains is why they do it, because brains makes the pain go away. So they're only really killing to take the pain away. It hurts being dead, which is another cool little layer to this movie. But, yeah, so at this point, they lock up Freddy and Frank inside the church part of the mortuary. Just make sure that they don't come out and kill any of them, you know. And it's in this time where Freddy turns and he starts going crazy. He's going after Tina, chasing after a fun little chase scene. She gets to the guys again when they hear her screaming, and Ernie throws like this synthetic acid in his eyes and blinds him. Now he's a blinded zombie going all crazy and everything. And then in the meantime, Frank actually goes to the I keep forgetting what the fuck it's called, where you cremate people, where they first threw the original body in there. And it's kind of a sad moment. He takes his wedding ring off and sets it on like the switch, pulls the thing out, jumps in it. He doesn't want to become a zombie like Freddy did. And he just burns himself like still alive, and he's screaming and everything. It's probably the saddest part in the movie. But yeah, everything is off the fucking rails at this point, and this is when they come up with the plan. They can either go up in the attic and hide, like Cooper did in Night of the Living Dead, or they're gonna grab one of the cars and make a run for it. They decide to make a run for it, and this is intense when they jump in the car, because these zombies are all over this car, jumping on it. As they drive, they're falling off, flipping over. He drives all the way to the medical warehouse. It's Bert and Spider, and they leave behind Ernie and Tina. So these are the final 4 survivors in the mortuary. So they make it into the medical supply warehouse, which I think it was actually the guy's name was Chuck, and I don't remember the girl's name. So there's 4 of them now. There's Bert, who owns the warehouse, Spider, that guy Kurt, and then the girl, I can't remember her name, but they come up with a plan. They kill Tarman for one, knock his head off. Don't kill him. They let him out of the basement because Bert says, "Oh, those canisters downstairs have a number of the army we can call for them to help us." But they have to go down where Tarman is, so they let Tarman up. He knocks his head off with a baseball bat. Bert does. They run down there with the phone and call the medical supply warehouse, which I just realized just now that when they tried to use the phone earlier, it was dead. How is the phone working down in the basement? I think how I nitpick little things when like this movie's about like zombies that can't be killed, that are running around murdering everyone. Then I'm like, how do you have phone service now an hour later? Like that's classic horror movie fans, and I'm guilty of it. But I digress. So back at the mortuary, Tina and Ernie go up into this like attic area, and Freddy's trying to get in everything, banging up there. And we've had this subplot the whole time that there's like this army general who has been looking for these barrels this whole time. And he keeps cutting back to him, like, with his process and trying to find it. And then when they make the call to the army, it gets transferred to this guy, the military guy. And like, we finally found the barrel. And now everybody thinks everything's going to be okay. He sets up the plan, and now I don't like to give too many spoilers away. I have a different review kind of deal I do where I don't give the spoilers, but when I do these classic horror movie reviews, I do give the spoilers away. Sue me. It's my channel. I'll do what the fuck I want. I just like to talk about the movies, and I like to talk about the ending too. So the ending to this movie is probably my least favorite part, and that just shows how good the movie is overall. You think that would ruin a movie for the ending to be weak, because that is something that happens a lot. But pretty much they just drop a fucking like nuclear bomb or some big ass bomb. They target it right on the town just to kill everything, and that's that. We lost human civilians, but we saved a lot more lives, kind of thing. And then the little outro, they have you hear a little phone conversation with like the general or whatever, like, oh, everything went as planned. This many civilians lost, but blah blah blah, except for the rain. But that the rain should calm down after a couple days. And it turns out they did it all over again. When they blew up the town, the rain hit again, and the acid rain hits again, implying this whole zombie thing's gonna happen all over again and never end. I mean, it reminds me of something else that's going on in this world today, right? Coronavirus is Return of the Living Dead zombie status. Just not cool like this movie is. Fuck you, Corona. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole movie. It's surprising that I went on for 20 minutes and I still feel like I missed some things. But yeah, unbelievable movie. It's kind of one you'd have to see for yourself. Like I said, I had Nick Baker and Backwoods Bam watch it, and they both reluctantly let me put this on, because they're not big horror fans to begin with. And at the end of it, they both love the movie. So, I mean, I would say this is obviously not for everybody, but I think most anybody could enjoy it. I mean, once again, this is a Scream Factory release. look at that artwork on the cover. So there's Bert, there's Trash as a zombie, got Tarman here, there's Frank, you got Freddy, Ernie, Tarman. Tons and tons of special features. Now, this is the selling point. If you're going to get this movie, you can buy it many ways. You can get this movie for less than $10. I think this was 20 something, but well worth it. It's got the theatrical and uncut versions. Tons and tons of special features. Scream Factory is numero uno. They just put out that Friday the 13th box set. Great work they do. Probably only second. I mean, Scream Factory is the best. The only other horror company that has any competitiveness with them is Arrow Video, in my opinion. But yeah, there's something about this movie, and I can't really explain it. I try to. I think it's just like growing up in kind of a punk rock scene, that I love the punk rock characters, the punk rock soundtrack, but the whole movie has this punk rock kind of vibe to it, and it's very funny as well. Lots of good comedy on top of the horror, good visuals. It flows really well. Sometimes a whole movie might drag until the end, or the second act might be kind of slow. This movie does not have a slow point. It's 100% go the entire time, and I fucking love it. Not necessarily a Halloween movie, like I said, but this is one I highly suggest. Even after all the spoilers I just gave you, I go pick this up and watch it. I promise you will not be disappointed. Have you guys ever been disappointed in a movie I suggested before? Nah, and I'm not the shit or nothing. I know I like what I like. So I suggest buying this one. I know you guys will love it. So other than that, I plan on doing some more videos. I think I'm going to double up, and I normally release my videos on Saturday, so I'm a day late. I used to do 2 a week. The rest of this month, I am going to do 2 a week. I'm going to do every Saturday and Wednesday from now on, so that's 4 more videos. I'm going to do a horror movie update collection in my next video, and then I believe I'm going to review Return of the Living Dead Part 2 and 3 as well, which I love both of those movies. Some people don't, but I love them. I don't like the 2 after that, 4 and 5. They're terrible. I don't even count them. But yeah, I'm going to review the next 2. And then on Saturday is Halloween. So at this point, I plan on reviewing the original Halloween. But we will see how things go. I'm currently working on getting a movie theater, because I just heard that you can rent out AMCs for $100. So if I can get that, I might do more of a vlog ski with a little review at the end. We're going to see. Got to figure it out. Working on it right now with my confidant, Nick Baker. We're going to figure this stuff out. Confidant, my friend, my boy. But other than that, hope you guys enjoyed this video. I was not even going to make one this weekend, but I decided, fuck it, I'm going to make one. That's what I do. I talk about horror on this channel, and I appreciate each and every one of you guys that watch this. Stay safe out there, because there's more spikes in this coronavirus. We want this to go away. Be safe out there. Wear a mask. I know not everybody wants to wear a mask. I mean, I don't like to wear one. It's like putting a bumper sticker on a Cadillac, But, even if you're not comfortable with wearing the masks, a lot of people are. So be considerate of others and wear them for that reason alone. Don't let this virus ruin your Halloween. I mean, if we can figure out trick-or-treating for the kids, we'll figure it out. Go to a drive-in movie. Throw a good horror movie on like this with some friends. Watch the original Halloween. I have a video, the best movies to watch on Halloween, a couple back. Check that out for any suggestions. Other than that, hope you guys are all well. Blood Guts Gore. Check you next time.